one Divrei Torah for the upcoming holiday of Purim. The Gemara Hulin, Daf Kuf Lamed Tet, says, Amri le Paponya le Rav Matna. The Gemara says that Papona es Rav Matna, Haman min Torah minayin. Where is Haman's name mentioned in the Torah? Amar lahem mikra de Bereshit. He said it's a pasuk in Bereshit. Hamin ha'etz asher siviticha lebilti akol mimenu achalta. When Adam Arishon was scolded by God, and God tells to Adam, did you eat from the tree that I told you don't eat from? Hamin ha'etz. So the Gemara says the word Hamin is the same letters as the letters of Haman's name, and that's where Haman's name is alluded to in the Torah. And Tachamim want to understand what exactly is this Gemara teaching us, that we found the similar letters He, Mem, Nun in the Torah. This is a remez. There must be some sort of depth. So the Gemara is saying if you analyze Haman's nature, we find a very strange phenomenon. Haman, we can call a man, is a man who had everything. He had great wealth. He had many children. And he had a tremendous amount of acclaim and honor. After all, he held the king's ring, and he was afforded a respect that nobody received but him, that all the subjects of the king should bow to him. Seemingly, Haman should have been the happiest man that ever lived. But we find quite the contrary. We find that because of Mordechai, who did not bow to Haman, and in Haman's eyes Mordechai is a low Jew, he's a dirty good for nothing. But because of that one Mordechai who did not bow to Haman, Haman says in the Megillah, in his own words, Bechol zeh enenu shoveli. All this that I have isn't worth anything. What Haman was trying to say is there are certain people that if they can't have everything, what they have is considered nothing. And since nobody can have everything, therefore a character like Haman, no matter how much he has, will never be happy. So the Gemara is saying, where do we see such a character, such a trait, such a weakness in the Torah itself? And the Gemara answers, you find it right in the beginning with none other than the creation of God, Adam Arishon. L'havdil, Adam Arishon also had everything. Adam Arishon was born in Gan Eden, and he was told by God, enjoy all the trees in the Garden of Eden. He had angels roasting him meat and pouring for him wine. There was no delicacy that was abstained or held back to Adam Arishon. But what happened to Adam Arishon? The only tree in the garden that God said you can't eat from, that was the tree that he had to eat from. That's the similar attitude that if you don't have everything, and even what you have, you're not happy with. And the Torah is coming to teach us the famous Mishnah's words, Eizehu Ashir Hasameh B'Chalko, that true happiness is true wealth. The Gemara, the Mishnah asks, Eizehu Ashir, who is wealthy, who is truly wealthy? Somebody that is happy with what he has. But until you're happy with what you have, you always want something else, then even what you have is not enough. Adam Arishon could have anything, but the one thing he didn't have already, he felt that he was denied something, and therefore he had to go after it. There's an interesting Gemara in Megillah that tells us how one of the tribes, Zevulun, complained to God about his share in the land of Israel compared to the share of Naphtali. Zevulun said, it's not fair, look at Naphtali, he got all this real estate, all this land, what did I get? And the Torah goes and tells Zevulun, Usfuneh temuneh hol, I'm going to give you 3 commodities that you're going to have in your domain that nobody's going to have. Usfuneh, the Gemara says, is the fish of Hilazon, that this fish is going to be needed in order to dye the seat strings blue, and it's going to be sold for a great price. Utmuneh This is the fish that's called tarit, which Rashi calls tunina, which could be the tuna fish, which is also a delicacy. Hol is referring to the white sand that was in the area of Zevulun, that the Gemara says was used for making glass, fine glass, and therefore crystal, we might say. And therefore he was told by God that not only that, but anybody that takes these commodities from him will not benefit unless they pay for it. Which means if the halazon swims into somebody else's region and they cut it open and they use its blood to dye something, it won't work. So it was guaranteed dividends. Zevulun was saying not only do you have these commodities, but they're going to have to be paid for. And then the Gemara goes on to say, and don't think Zevulun, when he was complaining, that he really got a bad end of the deal. His land in Israel was filled with flowing milk and honey. Zavat halav udvash, and it was a nice piece of real estate. And the rabbis come and learn the same lesson. With all that Zevulun had, with his flowing land of milk and honey, and all his beracha that he was given, still when he saw Naphtali got a little more real estate than he did, he was upset and he complained, to show you that some people are never happy. And therefore the lesson of the holiday is that we have to train ourselves to count our blessings, to not look at what we don't have, to look at what we have, and thank Borei Olam for the barakah that he gives us, whether it's our health, whether it's our wives, our children, our family, our affiliation with the synagogue. All these are barakot, instead of looking at all the things that we don't have. If Haman would only have looked at all the blessings, he would have died a happy man. And Adam and Rishon might not have eaten from the tree, or Zevulun might not have complained that Naphtali got a little more real estate. This is the depth when the Gemara was asking, where is Haman hinted in the Torah? Where is the weakness? And that was what the rabbi answered him in Parashat Bereshit.